It could be like a $25 book immediately, right?
Yeah, there was more speculation then, I think.
It's crazed.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time. A lot of money.
Do you read Comics Weekly, Walt, or is it really kind of like past you?
Yeah, there's certain things I still read.
Like what are? Oh, okay.
Walt keeps it alive.
If you didn't read comics, why wouldn't you admit that you don't read comics? If you didn't,
I didn't read comics. Yeah. Well, because you got to guess that would be like saying like if you were if there's new procedures to save a life,
right.
They're
about the same.
Yeah, I know.
And the fireman's
sounds about right.
And the fireman's like, I got that old method of doing it. I don't need to learn the new stuff.
This new model of the Jaws of Life, whatever the fuck it's called. Whatever.
I got a Jaws of Life from '86. It works just fine.
It's a lot to keep up with, though.
Sure, it's a commitment.
One time I was driving the fire truck, and they forgot to lock the doors where the Jaws of Life were, and I made a turn, and the fucking generator and the Jaws came flying out at like 30 miles per hour and just fucking slammed into a parked car and like just rolled down the street.
Jaws of Death,
it was
once
like
again.
fucking crazy. So I hit the rig, and I'm like, tell me you fucking assholes didn't forget to fucking lock the goddamn thing.
Wasn't me, boss.
Yeah, so
was it broken?
Oh, dude, it was destroyed. The car was destroyed. The fucking thing was destroyed. Everything was destroyed.
If it would have killed somebody, the headline would have been so great. Jaws of Death. Jaws of Life caused death.
Yeah, that was ironic.
I texted with my brother today a little bit. I have two brothers. Eric, who lives out in California. He's a doctor. Darren, who lives here in Jersey. And Eric texted me. And he said, Shirley, his wife, Ethan, his son, who's I guess probably about 10 or 11, and I have a new number. It calls all of their cell phones simultaneously in case you have a hard time getting in touch with one of us.
Good God.
My mother says, okay. And then, okay, this should alleviate the non-response that we get from Shirley, which I thought was from Eric again. And I said, what about when you want to have gay brother incest phone sex and you text me to have Darren call you? Tell him not the new number, right? And then Eric says, Shirley's mother got that text. And that's when I realized it wasn't only to me and Pam, it was to 9 other people. So he said, Shirley's mother got that text. And I just wrote back, who is this? And then...
You tried to play it off.
I tried to play it off. And somebody else wrote, and this is Shirley's sister. I'm wondering who this is myself. It better not be you, Nick, who is her husband.
Why, you're just stirring it up?
Eric, this will be my last family group text.
You told me you would never do that again, Nick. Like, what if Nick had some sort of weird shit, some really weird shit going on in his life that he promised his wife he would never indulge in again?
Well, he's in trouble because the wife then goes, now that I think about it, it wasn't Nick. And I wrote, no, I confess it's me, Nick. I deserve the consequences.
Wow.
And that was it.
And this went down in what, 10 minutes? This is like a 10 minute.
Yeah, it was like that.
That's awesome.
Why does your brother even involve you in a group text like that? He deserves everything that happens to him. Right?
I agree. I mean,
if he's going to put you in the same virtual room as his mother-in-law or whoever that is, or that he doesn't want you to be dealing with, he shouldn't put you in there then.
Yeah. I mean, I might be expected to look at the group text and understand there are 9 other people.
Did he just... So he told you as he was in... So you were included as he told you. So he didn't give you a heads up. You were just in.
I was just in, and it said group MMS, but I thought it was just to me and my mother because I just glanced.
That's too much for
the sister, the brother-in-law, this one.
Yeah, that's too much connection, man.
I know.
Too much connection.
You're right. He brought it on himself.
Now you're back into the real world.
Okay. Imagine Walt on LSD.
No, I don't think you can imagine it.
Can you imagine that? Just insane.
Even imagining it is too close.
I think
to
the
LSD.
thing about LSD that I just like the concept so much because it's just so bizarre, and so there's only one point in history where that could have happened, and that's the 60s. What
made you stop?
I want to save my brain. You don't learn from it. It's too severe. It's like an adventure. You take an adventure. It's like, I'm sure it's like a psychological adventure. Well, and it's only something you could do responsibly when irresponsibly, you don't know any better. So you're like, yeah, I could take it. You know, when I think about it, the more and more I think about it, even back then, because I was terrified of it, but I wanted to do it because it was in the news. It was everything. It was like, you know, people are taking this drug and they think they can fly and they're finding God. And it was like, well, that's not heroin. This is fucking cool. This is like, you see colors. I would see stuff like, you know, watch the woods just move in front of me. The colors would go from green to red to green to red. And I'd put my hands out in front of me and there'd be trails, like special effects, like internal special effects. Not only that, but you're like, what it does is it shuts off certain ways that your mind perceives things and forces the funnels that are open to perceive things to get overloaded. And it's pure distortion, really. I don't know why these guys ever thought it would be a mind-opening experience. It's just a way of, you know, it's like when you change your eyes or press on your eyes and you see colors and
See
stuff.
stars.
Yeah, but this is like in your actual
Poor man's LSD.
Yeah, poor man's LSD. Like, I'm seeing it, dude.
You did that too?
Oh yeah. Doesn't every kid do that? Lay in your bed and press on your eyelids and go, "Holy shit, this is cool."
And,
You did it.
Never did that?
You're too busy with your thumb up.
I'll do
your
it
ass.
tonight. Yeah, I mean, when I get two thumbs up your ass, it's way
I don't know if
better.
it, does it work at this stage of our lives, because I haven't done it since I was little. Like
Yeah.
Do it tonight. Freak your wife out.
Right now.
Could wake up with two black eyes.
But that's
Like they're totally blood red.
it's so funny, the whole acid thing. It's so funny. It's scary, too, that there was one point where a part of a generation of kids would choose to, like, go out there. You know, it's not like any other drug. It's not like, yeah, man, let's get drunk and stuff. This is like, I'm going to go out there and find something. It's so cool.
How much did an LSD cost back then?
Like $1.50.
$1.50. Wow.
Man, your mind for $1.50, man.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
fucking
just
$20 today.
completely.
And
Yeah.
it's just chemicals, right? So how do
Yes.
you make LSD? What's it made out of?
I don't know.
It was refined from a rye seed fungus. And it turns out that the first really super hallucinogenic thing that affected lots of people was a fungus that grew on rye seeds right before the dark ages of in Europe. And a lot of people believe that that's right around that time is when people started coming up with stuff like witches and in stories. And they really
You're talking
think
about
that
rye seed, like that's on rye bread?
yeah.
Oh,
And
so is that
they
why
think
that people say, like, if you can't take a drug test if you had poppy seeds?
Somewhat, except the poppy is like an opiate.
Or hydromorphone.
It's an opiate. Yeah,
That's in my experience.
They think that because of all this rye fungus stuff, which later on became a synthesis part of a chemical thing for LSD, actually created mass hysteria in Europe because the rye seeds and the rye bread had this fungus that was like ultra powerful hallucinogenic, so people were tripping. And that's when witches and demons started coming into like all this literature because people unknowingly tripping their balls off. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, like you say, I've read the same, that for artists or people who visualize it expands their universe, but then you also have guys like Charles Manson and the family who like it works.
Well, Manson wasn't I mean, Manson wasn't an acid guy himself. He just kept his people doped up on acid and just kept filling them shit. But
yeah, like I read like 300 hits some of these people
Yeah,
have taken.
yeah.
That seems like a lot,
yeah,
right?
that's a lot.
Hunter S. Thompson was big on it.
Yeah, Thompson was big on acid. And I love
big on
Thompson.
everything, right?
And that's what I was a big Thompson fan when I was a kid. I mean, he was actively writing at the time. So I'd buy Rolling Stone. I was like 14 years old, and I'd buy the new Rolling Stone, and it would be the next chapter of Fear and Loathing. Before they published the book, they published it in chapters. And I would read that. And you're a 14-year-old kid reading Hunter S. Thompson. You're like, yeah, I want to be like that guy. Because he wasn't a hippie. It wasn't peace and love. This guy was like,
It's crazy.
yeah, like driving around in a car. You know, I'll rip your lungs out. This was insane. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
Barely missed that wave of the Quaalude. So did you take Quaalude?
Yeah, Quaalude's
What-
unbelievable. I can't
do they
believe
do?
anybody survived. Survived them. They're like the most powerful, crazily powerful downer you could possibly imagine. But for some reason, so the drug allowed the human body to remain awake and somewhat cognizant while being, it's just so.
It's like someone's going to perform surgery on you if you took a Quaalude.
You're like a twilight kind of state.
It was awful.
Oh, you didn't
terrible,
like it?
Terrible drug. No, I didn't like to be.
What about that stuff that Michael Jackson was addicted to? Did you ever try that?
No.
Have you ever anesthetized yourself?
No, you know that stuff? Like, I forget what it's called.
Like
some massive stuff. A buddy of mine had that stuff because he went for surgery and they gave it to him and he said it was unbelievable.
Like, how do you get that though? Like that must be the hardest drug to get, right?
I'm asking for a friend.
I think you have to actually buy it. You can't buy the drug. You have to buy the doctor.
Oh, okay.
And that's what Jackson did. He bought a doctor.
So what drug would you recommend people take?
None.
None?
No, I mean, those days are over. The drug days are over. There's too much information now. It's
drug days are over.
Yeah, drug days just ended for me like 2 weeks ago.
I don't know. Whatever you want, but just do it early.
Yeah.
Don't wait.
Right.
Do it when you're
like
a kid.
40.
Yeah.
Because what's the cutoff?
A young man.
The cutoff?
Like, what's the ages? You're like, you're too old to do drugs. Give it up. Hang it up.
21, 22.
You want to be. What? 20? What?
21,
20? Oh, wow. That's
You want to be.
Well, I'm just saying, for me personally, every time I do drugs, I wind up not working. I don't create stuff. I'm too busy being high. It's like I like to read. I like to remember what I do. It's like
You're like Flanagan. You're high on life.
well, it's a matter of control, I think. And when I used
Do you
to
find that with you too?
What?
You just like you don't want to ever not be in control.
I'm terrified of not having control of what.
Well, I think that's a reasonable consideration.
What's it called? Faculties?
Faculties, yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrified that I won't be in control of how I think or my actions.
He wakes up with a boner with blood all over it.
And the thing about drugs is like there's some people.
St. Joseph.
Some people can handle it and some people can't. I can't. I mean, I did when I was a kid, and I gave it up. And I gave it up because I was just naturally got bored because I didn't learn anything and it was confusing the issue. And I stopped drinking too because it was like, I'm just sick of it. And then, thinking you're out of the woods. When I was in my late 40s, I got super addicted to almost life-ending, career-ruining anti-anxiety pills.
Like benzos?
Benzos, super benzos, prescribed to me by a doctor.
When you take them, what does it do for you?
Well, he gave it to me for sleep because he gave me Ambien. This is when Ambien was first started. This was a while ago now. And I was like, this is pussy stuff. I was a live wire. I was completely straight. I'm completely straight, right?
I agree with you. Like, it's supposedly you take it, and if you don't fall asleep in 15 minutes, you start hallucinating and going crazy. I never found that to be the case.
I was like, I am over the top excited. I was healthy as a horse. I'm touring the world, but the only thing that I couldn't control was my voice. I was just talk and talk and talk. I would tour everywhere. And I was healthy, but I was like, blah, 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 chasing girls around and doing all this stuff. I just couldn't slow down. And I was like, I need to go to sleep, and I want to go to sleep when I want to. And I went to a doctor right over there in Middletown, and he's like, I got just this thing for you. This is what they give to airplane pilots. When they have to go down in an hour, they go right down. Temazepam, this super concentrated benzo that comes on in 15 minutes. Not the benzo like a what are we talking about? Xanax. This is like super Xanax that comes right on. It's like short lasting 7 hours. And I was out. But I was so healthy and so physically healthy and so like, I know what I want to do. That I took them for years and they worked just fine until one day my body just said, more, please. Take a little more. And then I got cut off because the guy was actually turned out to be a crook. Yeah. Turned out to be a crook. And he willingly gave me the stuff that you're only supposed to give people for 3 weeks. I took it for like 8 years. I tried to use it as a tool, not as a mind thing. And just drugs, it's like, if you could do without it, you're way better off. You're the smartest guy in the room if you don't do drugs. You always are.
Well, look at you, Will.
Taste of music.
Yeah.
Taste
lack of drugs.
But, except for the psychedelics, which I would totally recommend to do for anyone.